Cliff Richard and Olivia Newton-John, two names that belong to the soundtrack of generations, yet their story together has always lived quietly, almost in whispers. In Cliff Richard's later years, he often finds himself drifting back to memories of Olivia, tracing the paths they shared across decades, the stages they lit up, and the moments no camera ever captured. There is a tenderness in those recollections, as if time itself softened around the truths he never spoke aloud. For more than 5 decades, Olivia was a gentle presence in his life. Their paths crossed in studios, on stages, and in the quiet corridors just out of public view. She carried a calmness and kindness that seemed to steady the whirlwind of fame, and the friendship that grew between them became a place where both could rest. Yet beneath the laughter, the music, and the shared triumphs, there remained a truth Cliff kept carefully folded inside, too fragile to expose. Now, after Olivia's passing in 2022, the quiet around that truth feels heavier than ever. Cliff can no longer carry it alone. What he finally reveals is not dramatic or sensational but deeply human, a revelation that reshapes how we understand both the man behind the spotlight and the woman whose presence changed him forever. Cliff Richard was born in 1940 in the city of Lucknow, India, to a family that would soon relocate to England. In 1948, he moved with his parents to South London, a young boy carrying the quiet curiosity and determination that would shape the rest of his life. From the earliest days, music seemed less like a pastime and more like a calling. By the time he joined the Drifters, who would later become the Shadows, he was already aware that the path he was walking would be both exhilarating and exacting. His first major hit, Living Doll, released in 1959, established him as a presence in the British music scene, a young man with a voice that would come to define an era, and a work ethic that would sustain decades of stardom. Olivia Newton-John entered the world 8 years later, in 1948, in Cambridge, England. Her family moved to Australia in 1954, settling in a landscape of gentle horizons and sunlit spaces that would leave an imprint on her artistry. Even as a child, Olivia carried an innate grace, a quiet discipline, and a curiosity that drew her to performance. By 1964, she had already claimed recognition by winning a talent contest on the television show Sing, 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 a moment that marked the beginning of a life in music and the arts. Her earliest recordings and performances in the United Kingdom laid the groundwork for an international career that would span decades, one defined not by fleeting trends but by an enduring sincerity. Both Cliff and Olivia, though born in different corners of the globe, shared a certain persistence and groundedness that would guide their lives. Cliff's early years were marked by the structure of moving countries, adapting to new schools, and navigating the budding post-war culture of London. Music became a constant, a rhythm in which he could anchor himself as the world around him shifted. Olivia, meanwhile, grew up under the bright Australian sun, absorbing the rhythms of nature and the subtle lessons of her family, learning to express herself with a combination of technical skill and genuine warmth. By the time each was on the verge of adulthood, the contours of their futures were already visible. Cliff had become a figure in the British pop scene, recognized for his charm, precision, and relentless dedication. Olivia was emerging as a performer who combined a rare vocal clarity with a sensitivity that resonated on stage and screen alike. Though their paths would not cross for several more years, the foundations of their characters, Cliff's discipline and drive, Olivia's empathy and poise, were being laid with quiet determination. Even in these early years, there is a sense of foreshadowing in the way their lives unfolded. Both navigated childhoods that demanded adaptability and resilience. Both were drawn to music not merely as entertainment but as a form of expression, a way to connect with the world and with themselves. It was in these formative years, separated by continents and experiences, that the elements of their eventual connection were being quietly shaped. Cliff's rise in England and Olivia's beginnings in Australia were more than parallel stories. They were the first threads of a tapestry that would one day intertwine in moments of collaboration, friendship, and mutual admiration, the seeds of a bond that would endure far longer than the stages they performed on. By the early 1970s, both Richard and Olivia Newton-John had begun to carve their places on the global stage, each navigating the unique demands of fame while retaining the qualities that had defined them in youth. Had solidified his reputation as one of the United Kingdom's most successful artists, his presence a constant on the charts through the 60s and into the 70s. Every performance, every recording reflected not only a polished skill but a dedication born from years of discipline, a desire to create music that could endure. Olivia, meanwhile, was stepping into international recognition. Her appearance on the 1974 Eurovision stage marked a turning point, showcasing a clarity of voice and a warmth of presence that set her apart from contemporaries. By 1978, she would capture the world's attention in the role of Sandy in Greece, her performance becoming both a cultural landmark and a testament to her ability to inhabit her art with authenticity and grace. Each step of her ascent carried with it a sense of steadiness, an unwavering commitment to her craft that mirrored the qualities that had long defined Cliff. Their paths crossed during the early 70s, introduced by mutual industry friends who recognized a shared sensibility in two of the music world's rising stars. From the first meetings, there was a quiet acknowledgement of something rare, a sense of ease and understanding that existed beyond professional courtesy. They moved through the music circuit together, performing in studios, attending the same events, and lending support to one another's burgeoning careers. It was in these interactions, unremarkable to the wider public, that the foundation of a deep and lasting bond was laid. Their professional collaborations began in earnest with the duet, suddenly released in 1980 as part of Olivia's film Xanadu. The pairing was seamless, a reflection of years of individual preparation and a mutual respect that allowed their voices to complement one another with a natural elegance. Beyond the studio, they appeared together in multiple television specials and charity events throughout the 80s, their interactions marked by warmth and an unmistakable sense of camaraderie. Each performance revealed not just talent but the trust and understanding that had quietly taken root over years of shared experiences. What emerges in examining these years is the gentle, understated nature of their connection. There were no grand proclamations or public dramatics. Instead, it was a steady companionship, a presence in each other's lives that endured despite the pressures of fame, the constant travel, and the relentless expectations of audiences on both sides of the globe. In every stage appearance, every duet, every public encounter, there was evidence of an unspoken bond, a connection that carried the weight of mutual admiration and quiet support. These years between their rise and their first collaborations revealed the shaping of a relationship that was as much about understanding and respect as it was about music. Cliff and Olivia's connection was rooted in shared experience and steady companionship, a human intimacy that existed beneath the glare of the spotlight. It was here, in these formative interactions and early collaborations, that the seeds of a friendship, profound, enduring, and quietly transformative, began to grow. As the 80s unfolded, the bond between Richard and Olivia Newton-John deepened in ways that went beyond music. While the public celebrated their individual successes, the moments they shared away from the stage began to take on a quiet significance. Their friendship was not marked by flamboyance or headlines, but by consistency and a sense of emotional safety that both recognized, even if unspoken. They had moved past the early curiosity and admiration into something steadier, a connection that offered solace amid the unpredictable rhythms of fame. Olivia's career was reaching remarkable heights. With the release of Physical in 1981, she cemented her place as an international icon, blending artistry with a distinctive presence that resonated with audiences across the globe. Cliff, meanwhile, remained a fixture in the United Kingdom's music scene, sustaining a string of hits through the 80s and 90s, his voice and performances carrying both experience and the same clarity of purpose that had defined his early years. In observing each other's journeys, they witnessed the pressures and triumphs of fame firsthand. There was an understanding that neither had to explain the peculiar demands of their world, they simply existed as mirrors of each other's experiences. Charity and humanitarian work became a shared space where their admiration took on practical form. Olivia founded the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Center in 2008, a reflection of her enduring empathy and commitment to helping others. Cliff, too, consistently supported causes close to his heart, offering his talent and presence in service of others. Within these shared endeavors, the depth of their friendship was revealed, a combination of respect, mutual support, and admiration that extended beyond professional collaboration. The music they created together, though celebrated, was never the entirety of their connection. Their interactions offstage revealed a gentleness and warmth that defied public understanding. There were moments of quiet conversation, laughter in private rooms after performances, and an ease of companionship that did not require the spotlight. It was a friendship in which vulnerability could exist, a rare and precious space for two people accustomed to scrutiny. Through tours, television appearances, and recording sessions, they nurtured a bond built on attentiveness and care, noticing the small details that mattered to the other. For Cliff, Olivia became a steady presence, a quiet anchor amid the demands of fame. Her grace and kindness offered him a model of how to navigate the world with dignity and warmth. For Olivia, Cliff's reliability and devotion to his craft provided reassurance that someone understood both the pressures and the joys of a life lived in public. Together, they moved through decades not merely as colleagues but as confidants, their connection carrying the subtle weight of deep human understanding. These years of friendship, though not always visible to the public, were formative. They reveal a connection that existed in plain sight yet remained intimately private, a companionship that offered comfort, grounding, and a profound recognition of one another's humanity. In this friendship, there was laughter, mutual admiration, and quiet support. More than anything, there was a sense that amid the glare of fame and the constant motion of life on stage and screen, they had found in each other a rare, enduring understanding. The years that followed brought new challenges, and Olivia Newton-John faced a battle that would test her strength and the steadiness of those around her. First diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992, she confronted her illness with the same grace and determination that had defined her artistry. Treatments, recoveries, and the private moments in between were navigated quietly, often shielded from public view, yet her resilience became a defining element of her life. Cliff Richard, while continuing his own career, was quietly attentive to her journey. Touring and recording, he carried the weight of admiration for her perseverance, observing from a distance the courage she displayed at every stage. Their friendship had always been rooted in mutual respect and understanding, and during these years that connection deepened. Cliff's awareness of Olivia's struggle was not performative. It existed in the spaces between concerts, in letters, phone calls, and the small gestures of a friend who understood the gravity of her fight. The cancer returned in 2013, and again in 2017, each recurrence a reminder of the fragility of life and the fortitude required to face it. Throughout, Olivia maintained a public presence, continuing to perform, advocate for wellness, and support causes close to her heart. Yet behind the performances and interviews lay private moments of reflection, pain, and quiet perseverance, moments that Cliff observed with both concern and admiration. In his own way, he became a witness to her strength, a steady presence in a world that demanded resilience. Olivia's passing in 2022 at her California ranch marked the close of a life that had touched millions. For Cliff, it was a loss that resonated far beyond the public eye. The grief he experienced was not only for the artist the world celebrated, but for the friend who had been a quiet, steady force in his own life. The years of shared experiences, the small moments of understanding, and the bond formed through decades of collaboration and companionship became all the more poignant. Through it all, Cliff maintained his characteristic composure, but the weight of loss was undeniable. The silence that followed her death was filled with memories of laughter, shared projects, and the unwavering kindness that Olivia had offered, not only to him, but to everyone around her. In those quiet moments of remembrance, the depth of their connection became unmistakable. Their friendship, forged over decades of mutual respect and admiration, revealed a human intimacy that transcended the public narrative, a bond that was profoundly personal and enduring. These years of illness, care, and eventual loss illuminate the rare nature of their relationship. It was a companionship built not on spectacle or fame, but on steady presence and quiet devotion. Cliff's grief, though private, reflected the profound impact Olivia had on his life, not just as a performer, not just as a colleague, but as someone whose presence shaped him, whose kindness and courage left an imprint that would remain long after the applause had faded. After decades of shared stages, performances, and quiet companionship, Cliff Richard finally allowed himself to speak openly about what Olivia Newton-John had meant to him. The revelation was not dramatic, nor was it a story of romance in the conventional sense. It was a truth of the heart, an acknowledgement of the rare and profound connection that had quietly endured across 50 years. Olivia had been the one person in his life who embodied the qualities he had always admired: steadiness, grace, kindness, and a warmth that seemed to exist naturally, without effort. Their friendship had always been built on more than music. From their first meetings in the early 70s to their duets, television appearances, and charity events, there had been a mutual understanding that went beyond words. Cliff recognized her presence as a steadying force, someone who could navigate the pressures of fame with dignity and generosity. Olivia in turn knew him as someone who appreciated the depth of her character and the integrity she brought to every endeavor. Their bond was a rare balance of respect and quiet admiration, a connection that allowed each to flourish while remaining grounded. When Cliff speaks of Olivia now, there is a tenderness that lingers in his voice, a reverence for the impact she had not only on his life, but on the lives of countless others. He recalls their collaborations, the laughter shared backstage, and the small gestures of care that defined their private interactions. He speaks of her courage during illness, her unwavering commitment to causes she believed in, and the way her presence offered comfort in moments when words could not. It was through these experiences that he came to understand the depth of his feelings, not a fleeting attraction or public fascination, but a profound recognition of her influence on him as a man, a friend, and an artist. The truth he finally shares is one of emotional clarity. Olivia Newton-John was the one whose spirit resonated most deeply within him, the one whose presence shaped his understanding of loyalty, empathy, and quiet strength. There is a gentle honesty in his confession. It is not sensational, it is not performative, it is the acknowledgement of a bond that endured through years of success, distance, challenges, and personal struggles. In speaking openly, Cliff reveals how much he valued her guidance, her steadiness, and the way she inspired him simply by being herself. Her passing in 2022 made this confession both necessary and inevitable. Cliff's words carry the weight of decades, the weight of shared experiences that cannot be measured in headlines or awards. They reflect a profound human truth, that the most meaningful connections are often quiet, private, and enduring. Olivia was the one person whose presence, laughter, and unwavering kindness left an imprint on his life that no stage, no applause could ever replicate. In acknowledging this truth, he honors her legacy, celebrates the friendship they shared, and allows the world to understand the depth of a connection that had been his most cherished secret. In the end, it is not the music or the fame that defines their story, but the intimacy of two lives intertwined through respect, admiration, and enduring human connection. Cliff Richard's confession stands as a testament to a friendship that transcended the public eye, a bond that remained quietly powerful, and a truth that at last has been set free. Cliff Richard's revelation about Olivia Newton-John is not a story of spectacle or sensationalism. It is a quiet truth, carried for decades, now shared with a tenderness that honors the life and spirit of the woman who shaped him in ways the public never fully saw. Their bond, formed over years of shared music, laughter, and private moments of understanding, reveals a friendship rooted in respect, admiration, and profound human connection. Olivia's legacy extends far beyond the stage. Through her artistry, her compassion, and her advocacy, from the creation of her Cancer Wellness and Research Center to her unwavering kindness, she left an enduring mark on the lives she touched. Cliff's words are a tribute to that legacy, a reflection of the intimacy, support, and inspiration she offered him and countless others throughout her life. In the end, their story is a reminder that the most meaningful connections are often quiet, private, and lasting. Through this reflection, we witness the power of friendship, loyalty, and emotional truth. For more emotional stories, check out this video.